What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck centered around Empoleon from Ultra Prism. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And also, if you are new to the channel, please consider joining our Discord. It will be linked in the description. Here at TTM, we are not just a one facet type of channel. We are a collaborative channel where we have things from TCG, which is why you are on this video, to Pokemon Draft League and other Pokemon related videos. So please consider joining our please consider subscribing first and foremost if you enjoy variable Pokemon content, but also consider joining our Discord, where we just have different channels to talk about all the different aspects of Pokemon. And also, before I get into the deck, I would like to go to the question of the day, and that is going to actually be somewhat related to this deck. So Empoleon is going to get a type swap in an upcoming set. I think in Japan they're already doing it, where Empoleon will be metal type, and they've been doing that with more Mons recently. I know that Magnezone, I think Magnezone's going to have another one for Lightning. Garchomp is going to have a fighting one coming out. And so that got me thinking, okay, well, it looks like they're doing that with a lot of Stage 2s, and got me thinking for the question of the day, what Stage 2s would you guys like to see get a type swap to their secondary typing or their other typing that they are, that isn't in the TCG currently? Now, I know they're not doing that with GXs, but I'm going to kind of take a cop-out on this one, and I think that Metagross would be insane if it got the new, well, if it got Psychic typing, because with the new support, I believe it's called Mystery Treasure, I'm pretty sure, where you're just able to search out a Dragon and a Dragon or a Psychic Mon, not and, that would be extra busted, but you are simply able to just search those out. I think that, first of all, it already pairs very well with the Ultra Necrozma, but if Metagross became Psychic, that would just make it that much better. It would just make it an absolutely insane deck, because you don't have to discard 2 cards like you would with Ultra Ball. You're just able to search those out, and then you can run an entire deck that has just Dragon and Psychic, because Lele is also a Psychic type. So I think that Metagross GX, if it got a reprint into the Psychic typing, would be absolutely insane. So let me know what Stage 2 you guys would like to see get reprinted as their alternate typing. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are and what impact you think that would have on the metagame. Now, on to the deck. Like I said, this is centered around Empoleon from Ultra Prism, and I do want to give a shout out to Rare Candy. They are the ones that I got this deck list from, and any variations were just very small, if that. I've had this deck list for a little while, so I'm not sure what all changes I made, but it was based on their version of the deck, so shout outs to them. But really, the whole idea is to just attack with total command over and over. It does 20 damage times the number of benched Pokemon. So I mean, even if you just fill out your own bench, you're already hitting for 100 damage for 2 energy, which is very, very solid. And then if your opponent plays any bench Pokemon as well, you're just going to be hitting harder and harder with a max damage of 200, 230 if you have a, not Finding Fairy Bell, a Choice Band on Empoleon. So Empoleon has the potential to hit very, very hard and punish your opponent for benching a lot of Mons, which really limits what they can do. And against certain decks, they have to play a bunch of bench Pokemon, so you're able to punish them very, very hard. And that's really just all there is to it. Empoleon is pretty bulky with 160 HP, so the entire deck is just centered around getting Empoleon out quickly and consistently, and then powering up, because unfortunately Total Command does take a water and a colorless, so it takes 2 attachments in order to be able to attack. Apart from Counter Energy, I believe, is another option that you can run in this deck, where you can attack immediately for just 1 attachment, but I figured that it would be better to streamline the water and aqua patches just so you can get those whenever you need them and just be able to stream those as consistently as possible. And I mean, again, counter energy is an option that you guys should consider. I just decided against it in this list. So yeah, I mean, just straightforward, we're running 4 Empoleon, and the rest of the Mons are going to be centered around supporting Empoleon as best as possible. First off, we have a Mr. Mime with the Bench Barrier. Unfortunately, Buzzwole is a very prominent deck and kind of just absolutely destroys this because Piplup has 60 HP, not 70, Vulpix has 60, Remoraid has 60. So being able to spread around damage with Buzzwole is just something that this deck has a tough time overcoming. However, if you are able to play a Mr. Mime down, also things like Glaceon, basically bench sniping for 30 is becoming more and more popular and more relevant. So being able to keep our Piplups and Remoraids from being sniped on the bench for 30 damage is something that is very, very valuable to this deck. And also Mr. Mime just takes up an extra bench spot, which is more damage for total command, so it works out very nicely to Lele in order to be able to relatively consistently get a Lele for Brigette first turn, which is ideal for this deck. To Alolan Vulpix for that free Mon search. I mean, we can't attack on the first turn anyway with this deck. Well, I mean, I guess we technically can with Splatter from Piplup. But really, Vulpix just lets us set up quicker, get the Mons that we want to evolve faster, just get a more consistent setup. So we have two of those, 4/2/4 of Piplup through Empoleon, because, you know, main attacker of this deck, that whole thing. And then 2/2 of Remoraid and Octillery for the Abyssal Hand, just as a way of getting little extra draw support here and there, just a few extra cards that you might need for a combo in order to be able to attack. Now we also have 4 Aqua Patch just to speed up the attaching of energy as quickly as possible. 1 Field Blower, we don't necessarily need it all that much, but Garbodor still is annoying if you're able to start sniping the bench a little bit more, even if Mr. Mime's ability is shut off. So just being able to get rid of that is very nice, and also getting rid of Float Stones, disrupting our opponent, gives us a little bit more time to set up. 3 Rare Candy, I would run 4, but, I mean, we do end up relying on Prinplup a little bit, so that's why I cut down to 3. However, I would recommend trying out 4, just personal preference, if anything. 2 Rescue Stretcher, because unfortunately our Piplups and Empoleon will get knocked out, and because this deck really just relies on them as the attacker, you want to be able to recur them as consistently as possible. So having 2 Rescue Stretcher, in my opinion, is an absolute must over just 1, because, I mean, if you have to discard Rescue Stretcher early, then that means you have no recursion, so 2 I think is very important. 4 Ultra Ball to guaranteed get the Mon you want when you want it. And then as for these supporters, have 2 Brigette, because Brigette is the best first turn setup for this deck. 3/3/3 of Cynthia and Guzma, just a lot of shuffle draw. This deck doesn't like discarding cards a whole lot. I mean, it likes discarding water for Aqua Patch, but I should note that don't discard too much because you don't have any more Super Rods, or you don't have any Super Rods in this deck, so Aqua Patch is your main method of recurring water energy. So discard them, but be careful about how much you discard, and definitely keep track of how many you discard. But at the same time, Sycamore, 7 cards is, I mean, that's the best you can hope for. Like, 7 cards is the best hand you can get off of a supporter in the standard format. That's, I mean, and again, in the standard format, because Chorus can get you more, but Sycamore just consistently gets you 7 cards. 3 Choice Band to boost our damage output. 2 Float Stones in order to give free retreat to the Octillery, because otherwise that thing has 2 retreat costs that we don't want to pay. And then 9 Water Energy. Could run 10, but 9 I find works well enough, simply because Empoleon attacks for 2 energy. So yeah, that is the deck, fairly straightforward, and let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against a Matt8817 with a Psychic and Normal deck, so not gonna lie, kinda interested to see what this is, as, I mean, I would normally think that it's like Garbodor, but I don't know. That hasn't been that popular lately. But I do start off with actually a pretty solid hand. I mean, I get a Piplup, I get a Remoraid, I get a supporter, I have an energy. So, I mean, basically, I'm starting off in actually a pretty nice spot. So it just depends on whether or not I can get a Brigette, because if I can get an Ultra Ball, that would actually be phenomenal, because I'll be able to Ultra Ball, get a Water Energy and Cynthia. Well, I mean, I'm not getting the Cynthia in the discard pile is a positive thing, but getting the Water Energy into the discard pile is a positive thing. But unfortunately, I do not get that, so what I am just going to do is attach the energy to Piplup, and then Cynthia on my hand away, see if I can get something that I can work with, and, well, technically it can. I mean, what I can do next turn Yeah, what I can do next turn is Ultra Ball, get an Octillery, Rare Candy into an Empoleon, and then hopefully Octillery into a hand where I can get a bunch more Mons out. And my opponent plays a Looker, which is very, well, interesting. It's kind of a weird play, actually. Not gonna lie, I don't really see what Looker brings to a deck that another supporter wouldn't just do a whole lot better. But regardless, my opponent plays a Looker, plays an Escape Board, and then just passes. So actually I think we just win, because what I can do is Ultra Ball, get rid of the Rescue Stretcher and the Aqua Patch to grab my Lele, make sure Brigitte's there, and yeah, with Brigitte there, I guaranteed win, because what I can do, Float Stone up this guy, Energy up the Piplup, Rare Candy into Empoleon, and then just Lele into a Brigitte to guaranteed get the Mons. I mean, I could go for a Sycamore, but what's the point? I have a literal guaranteed win with the Brigitte right here. So, I mean, my opponent was clearly running an Espeon deck, but I really don't know what else they were running, and yeah, we do just take the victory. So we take a very, very quick one because we were able to get a turn 2 Empoleon and a full bench. So, I mean, my opponent didn't put up much of a fight. They literally played one card besides the Eevee, so that's not too much of a game, but I mean, hey, I guess we take those, and yeah, I'm gonna try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we've got another one, hopefully longer one against Casprue with a with a grass and normal deck, so this could be interesting. Luckily, we do win the coin flip, and we start off with something that I can work with. Definitely can work with it. It's just a matter of whether or not it's something that I can truly work with, or if it's just something that has potential but then just kind of fizzles out. So, okay. What I'm going to immediately do is Brigitte, grab 2 Piplups and a Remoraid, I think. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. And then, so I'm not really in any danger this turn. I think I'm going to go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of a Water Energy and a Brigitte for an Octillery for next turn. Or do I want the Vulpix, or do I want a Lele? I think I need to Lele. Now let's go ahead and grab the Lele, play the energy onto a Piplup, really doesn't matter what, play the Choice Band, maybe to try to bait out an early Field Blower or something to that effect. And yeah, I mean, I could have gone for an Octillery and then just tried to play my hand out a little more, but I figured that Lele is the safer option, because then what I can do this coming turn, attach the energy to Mr. Mime, hopefully draw into an Aqua Patch, which I can use to play onto a Piplup, Prinplup, or Empoleon, whichever I happen to get, and then I can go from there. And then if I do end up drawing into an Octillery, I can play off of that. So my opponent's playing Drampa, obviously, playing grass. I'm wondering what type of grass with Drampa he's playing. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is like Drampa Decidui, but that's the only true grass with Drampa decking. Yeah, it is, as we do see the Rowlet come out. So this is a Drampa Decidui deck. Could be devastating for me, but it's actually pretty awesome in that I am going to be able to take advantage of the fact that my opponent's going to play a bunch of Rowlets and Decidueyes and Dartrix onto his bench, and my opponent actually just goes ahead and big wheel GXs, like uses his GX attack immediately because he really didn't have anything. So what I'm going to do, play the energy onto Mr. Mime, and then I'm going to go ahead and Lele for an N. I could grab a Cynthia, but I mean, my opponent has 10 cards. I'd be dumb not to N. I'm not going to let him use his GX attack effectively. So yeah, we are going to N, put my opponent down to 6, put me up to 6, and ooh, I can work with this. So what I'm going to do, Ultra Ball, let's get rid of the N and the energy to grab an Octillery. So I mean, I could have grabbed a Vulpix off of that, but I think it's better just to go ahead and try to get set up as much as possible, because if I can somehow draw into an Aqua Patch, I'll be able to attack, and that's kind of what I want to go for. I don't want to try to do a slower setup. and unfortunately I do not get it. So should have just gone the Vulpix route. Unfortunately, I am going to end up paying for it because I wasn't able to draw into anything. So yeah, my opponent is going to play the Brigette down now, though. This is huge because, yeah, he has 4 on his bench. I have 4 on my bench. I'm going to be hitting for 160 base, hitting for 190 with the Choice Band, and now I'm hitting for 210 with Choice Band. So this is actually pretty phenomenal for me. So he is going to go into Leafeon, but he cannot take advantage of Leafeon's GX attack because he already used that on Big Wheel. So that's a huge, huge play, or that's a huge, huge thing for me that I don't have to worry about that. And also, Empoleon's not knocked out by Berserk. Like, my opponent has to have a Fighting Fury Belt in order to avoid being knocked out by Berserk. And that top deck is really nice for me. It means I don't have to Sycamore away anything. I don't have to waste a Guzma for no reason. I could Guzma, actually. And I think that might be what I want to do. I can Guzma up the Leafeon just so I don't have to worry about that thing at all. And as long as there's no damage on any of his benched mons, Drampa isn't going to be doing a whole lot. So I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and try to take out that Leafeon, and I top deck into a Prinplup, which is absolutely gorgeous for me. Yes, I do get damage off of that Potown, but I am able to Total Command, knock out that Leafeon in one hit, and take 2 prizes. And now we are very far ahead. I'm going to be able to get another Empoleon set up this next turn. I'd like to get rid of the Potown, as that's going to be kind of annoying to have to play with, just that extra damage being put on me whenever I try to evolve. So I'm going to have to play around that. But otherwise, I think I'm in a good spot. I think I'm actually in a very good spot. So yeah, I mean, he goes into his Drampa. He's going to be able to hit me for 80. I will be able to Oko him back. I will get my Prinplup set up in the background for another Empoleon. And this is going to probably be a fairly straightforward game. I mean, my opponent hasn't gotten any Decidueye up. If he does, then that's... Okay, is he going to try to target down my Prinplup? No, he just... I mean, that works for me. All I have to do is just Float Stone up this guy. Or do I want to try to... Nah, it's just better to Float Stone it up, go into Empoleon, Energy, and then Aqua Patch. That way I have another Empoleon set up. And then I'm probably just going to go ahead and Field Blower to get rid of that Potown so that I can evolve into an Empoleon without getting extra damage on me, get rid of the Choice Band off the Drampa, even though it really doesn't matter a whole lot, and then let Cynthia to get more cards. I get another Empoleon. So, I mean, honestly, I'm just kind of swimming in it at this point. Like, I'm in such a good position. Then what I can even do, play a Float Stone onto Octillery. Let's Aqua Patch again. Why the heck not? I might as well try to see if I can get another Piplup for next turn. Let's just Choice Band up the Tapu Lele, because why not? Then see if we can get another Piplup, which we do, and I do have the Prinplup in my hand to evolve it next turn. Then let's Total Command, knock out my opponent's Drampa, and yeah, this is just kind of a steamrolling at this point. My opponent has gotten absolutely nothing going. I have 2 Empoleon set up. I have a full bench. My opponent has a very full bench as well. I mean, now he's down to 3, but I mean, that's still all that I need to be able to Oko a Drampa with an attack from Empoleon. And my opponent actually plays his hand down to 0. Like, he plays it all the way down. So that he can get a Decidueye. Rare Candy's into Decidueye, and he's going to be able to Berserk. But at this point, it is just going to be good game, as I'm going to be able to one-shot my opponent's Drampa. And there we go. Empoleon will take the victory over Drampa Decidueye. I mean, it's a cool deck idea. I just think without Forest of Giant Plants, Decidueye really just got heavily, heavily nerfed, as it's really just not able to do as much damage as it needs to. And now with Glaceon being able to lock out GX abilities turn 1, you have Garbodor becoming more and more popular and more prevalent. Just think that Decidueye really is not going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot anymore, particularly. And then like the ability lock, is devastating for it, but the fact that it doesn't have Forested Giant Plants is just the nail in the coffin that it cannot overcome. So yeah, we're able to take that game very decisively. Yeah, we definitely have time. So let's go ahead and find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Hujavati. Hujavati. I don't know. I'm guessing that's how you say it. That's how I'm gonna say it. And we do win the coin flip, meaning that we will get to go first, and we are up against a fire deck. So let's just cross our fingers that that means something good for us. Yeah. So up against a fire deck. Wondering what type of deck it is. I mean, we don't see water, so I'm assuming it's not Volcanion. Could it be like some sort of Salazzle? And nope, it is going to be a Typhlosion deck. So if we can get set up first, we'll absolutely steamroll it because, I mean, Typhlosion's just going to get knocked out by Empoleon over and over. So, yeah, in a very good starting position. All I need to do is get an energy. I'm going to go ahead and Lele for something. Actually, I don't even need to Lele. What I can do is just Ultra Ball, get rid of a Cynthia, and probably just a Rescue Stretcher to grab another Piplup just so I can get as much setup as I want, and then hopefully, I mean, the only thing that I need else out of this turn is just a water energy. So if I can get that, I can potentially get an Empoleon turn 2, and well, it looks like we're going to be able to do that. So I could get greedy and go immediately for turn 2 Empoleon. Well, I could get greedy, go Ultra Ball for an Octillery and try to draw into an Empoleon, or I could go conservative, Ultra Ball into Empoleon, and just try to hit the Talonflame for good damage. Or I could alternatively just try to Ultra Ball into a Lele to grab an N so that my opponent doesn't get the 2 cards he Aero Blitzes for. A lot will depend on what I top deck this turn and how I go about it. So I get a Guzma. Ooh. Actually, what I can do, I actually think I'll be able to pull this off. So I can Ultra Ball, get rid of the Choice Band and the Water Energy to grab my Empoleon. Could also gotten rid of the Aqua Patch, but I like playing the Aqua Patch as opposed to discarding the energy. As opposed to just manually attaching the energy like a filthy casual. So, gonna go ahead and evolve into Empoleon, and then Aqua Patch onto said Empoleon, and then I'm going to be able to knock out the Cyndaquil. Not only does this get me a prize this turn, and gets me another turn of setup, but, I mean, I'm able to knock out the Cyndaquil and basically render what was probably a Rare Candy Typhlosion in my opponent's hand completely useless. I mean, and I even get the N off the prizes, so whatever my opponent decides to Aero Blitz for this next turn, I will be able to just end them out of that again, and then potentially just knock out Cyndaquil. So my opponent appears to only have 3 Cyndaquils in the deck. I knocked out one. One is obviously prized, and then he's going to be able to Aero Blitz for 2 more cards. He probably has 2 Rare Candy Typhlosions in his hand right now, and I'm just about to end him out of all of that. I could Sycamore for 7 cards, but I just want to get him out of the cards that he wants to have in his hand. And with Vulpix plus Lele, I think I'm actually going to be able to knock him out. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is Lele for... Let's grab a Cynthia as opposed to an N. Or do I want to do that? Or do I want to grab a Sycamore? And let's just grab Cynthia. I mean, Cynthia gives me consistent draw, lets me shuffle the Empoleon back into my deck if I don't get a Rare Candy. Let's start powering up Piplup in the background, and then let's Total Command, knock out the Talonflame, and take another prize. So I think, because we got set up so much quicker than my opponent, I think this might just end up being an absolute steamroll. Or at least we can hope. We can hope that that's how it turns out. My opponent promotes the Cyndaquil that does not have the Fire Energy on it, which means he either has Rare Candy Typhlosion Fire Energy in his hand, or he just does not have Rare Candy Typhlosion, the latter of which is probably a little bit more likely. But that being said, I do want to get another Empoleon up, because the second I let Typhlosion start to get going, that's when things are going to get kind of bad. And yeah, my opponent is going to end me down to 4. Luckily, I do have plenty of stuff in my deck that I can use, and even if I draw into something dead, I'll still be able to just attack and take a knockout with an Empoleon. And I do get 2 Empoleons in my hand, which would be nice if I had Prinplup, but unfortunately I do not. And my opponent is going to Ultra Ball, grab the Lele. Well, my opponent already played their supporter for the turn. So whatever they play down, depending on what it is, if they grab like an N or something like that, I mean, I'm okay with that. But if they grab a Skyla, then I will definitely want to get them out of that. Yeah, they do grab the Skyla. So I don't want my opponent having the Skyla so that they can get a combination Rare Candy. So I'm just going to go ahead and end my opponent out of that, maybe draw into an Octillery or something like that, and I do. Ooh. Get an Ultra Ball. And so what I think I'm going to do is actually get rid of the Empoleon. That way I can just grab that later, and I do have 2 Empoleon still in my deck. I only have 2 Piplups on the field, and this way I can play my hand down to 0 so that I'm able to get a full Octillery for 5, hopefully get a Prinplup or something like that to where I can get, there we go, get another Empoleon potentially set up, and I even get the Aqua Patch as well. This is just going incredibly well for me because now that I have the Rare Candy in my hand too, I can start powering up a 3rd Empoleon, which, I mean, 2 Empoleons was probably enough to win the game. 3 Empoleons is basically going to be GG because, I mean, this is his last Cyndaquil. His other Cyndaquil is prize, so unless he gets that off the prizes, and even then, I'm going to be able to knock that out, so it'll be a dead turn guaranteed when he plays down that other Cyndaquil. And he Guzma's up Octillery. Is he just going to try to stall for a turn? I mean, I guess that's what he's going to try to do, but Empoleon's going to be able to come right back in and do some heavy damage. So let's Float Stone up. What do I want to Float Stone up? Let's Float Stone up the Vulpix. Why the heck not? And then Abyssal Hand, see if I can draw into anything good, and I get a Sycamore, which I can definitely use. Hopefully draw into an Empoleon or Rare Candy Empoleon. Well, this is an Empoleon, so let's go ahead and put... I want to shuffle back into the deck. Nah, then I'm just going to put the Empoleon back into my hand so that I can immediately get that thing up and going. There we go. Okay, now I have 2 Empoleons good to go. And unfortunately going to be 10 damage short of the knockout on Lele. Or 20, yeah, did I say 20? I don't know. I'm losing my mind, guys. You already know this. I'm short of knocking out the Lele just because my opponent doesn't have another bench Pokemon down, but I do have the Guzma. I have 2 Empoleons ready to go. The only way my opponent can win is if he keeps me from getting into... I think my 3rd Empoleon might actually be game. So he Rare Candies into... Actually, no, Piplup can even do that last 20 damage. Sorry, I was about to cough. Even Piplup can do that last 20 damage onto Lele if I need it, so I pretty much have game at this point. Like, yeah, he finally gets a Typhlosion up and is going to be able to one-shot my Empoleon. But my next Empoleon comes in, knocks out the Typhlosion, and then even if Lele comes in and knocks the Empoleon out with Energy Drive, I'll still be able to go into Piplup and finish the game off by knocking out the Lele. So I even get another Piplup just because. Let's go ahead and Aqua Patch onto that thing. Do I want to... I could Field Blower, but I don't think it's worth it. Let's just go ahead and Abyssal Hand, see what I can draw into. It's a Choice Band, which works, but meh, I'll just hold on to it for now, and then Total Command, knock out my opponent's Typhlosion, and now I don't think there's really anything my opponent can do. Piplup might actually be able to take this last 20 damage off of the Lele, which would be really funny if that's what ended up happening, and my opponent doesn't even have the energy on it. He had to use that to retreat, so yeah, that's going to be the game. So Empoleon was able to just absolutely destroy another Stage 2 starter Pokemon deck. I mean, granted, we did have the type advantage, but I had the damage on the board anyway for the knockouts that I really needed at any given point. So it didn't ultimately matter until the Typhlosion. But regardless, we do take those, and I am going to end that video, guys, right here. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.